what are the main needle movers in improved performance? So for speed, power, strength, what are some things you can give everyone to lead with today?
Yes, I would say categories of training. So, linear sprinting is a good one, something you should do consistently and try to get better at over time. Uh, Plyometrics is another one. And when I'm talking about plyometrics, I'll say specifically it's about like bouncing off the ground. Okay. And so I would distinguish that from jumping as high or as far as you can. Okay, so plyometrics, and that's going to help you develop what we would call stiffness or elasticity, or you might hear the term like reactive strength, something like that. Basically, the ability of your legs to stiffen and then get off the ground fast, and that is relevant for many athletic movements, including speed, including jumping, things like that. All right, so sprinting, plyometrics. Then, yeah, what I would say jumping would be jumping as high or as far as you can. So versus like a quick bounce off the ground, it's like generating a large impulse. And that's going to be, again, obviously useful for jumping sports, but then also useful for non-jumping sports because it's going to just help you develop power in your legs. All right, and that's what one of the key things I want people to understand is that general training includes more than just general strength training. It's general explosive training. So, yeah, whether you're in a jumping sport or not, jumping is going to be helpful for you because it's going to train your body to be explosive and powerful. Then I like the change of direction category. This is one I'd say it's kind of like the most fringe one for me, but I think the I mean, particularly for agility sports, um, the hard decelerating that happens within change of direction drills, I think is good. And to be clear, when we're talking about change of direction drills, we're talking about, like, for the most part, things that are planned out for you so that you are, it's not agility where it has perception and reaction like in sports, but it's something that's planned out. And because it's planned out, that means you can do like a hard stop and start because you're not having to think about what's going to happen next. Because you know what you're going to do, you can just fly into that cut, stop hard, and burst out of there. Because the drill is simple, you're able to get a higher output in it in terms of how hard you're stopping and starting. And that's why I like it versus just saying go play your sport or versus just like let's create some type of agility game. Like those are good, but if we simplify and we have a drill planned out for you, now you can stop harder than you normally would. And I think that's an output that is useful, like that hard deceleration that is involved with cutting. So that's a category. And then the last one would be your strength training, increasing strength relative to body weight. And and again, I mean, your basic movements are going to do the job for you. You know, you're squatting, you're hinging, you're lunging, you're pushing, and you're pulling with the upper body. Um, Not to say that those are the only things you should do. Like, maybe you're going to do some spinal movements to train the different muscles of your core. Maybe you're going to do some hamstring stuff to build up resilience in those muscles. So that's where you would talk about kind of like structural strength versus like big movement neurological strength. Okay, so yeah, like a heavy, let's say just a heavy squat or a heavy lunge. You're training this full body push with a high effort level, and that's good. But then also, yeah, well, I also want to just like build up the structure of my hamstrings, right? Or I want to build up the structure of my calves or my hip flexors. And so then maybe I'm going to do some leg extensions for the quads. I'm going to do some hamstring curls for the hamstrings, etc. So you're building up the structures rather than just like trying to create this big full body push. So we could even distinguish in strength, between structural and neurological. And so those are really the categories. We could mention flexibility in there, where there is some level of mobility and flexibility that we want to have. And maybe it varies a little bit between sports, but I would just say generally speaking, it's like you should be able to do a decent squat, a decent side lunge. Like you should have the mobility for that, a good hinge. And so then, yeah, if you're starting out in a very immobile, very inflexible place, well, then stretching can actually be a very simple and effective way to gain the flexibility that you want. But flexibility is not something that you necessarily need to like keep pursuing higher levels of over time. It's really like a box that you want to check off. The place I run into it the most is with like the adolescent males who have grown a bunch in their bones, but not their muscles haven't caught up yet, and so then they're super super tight. And so then that type of person, it's like, yeah, if you had a daily stretching routine, it would actually be good for you. But the vast majority of athletes, in fact, I don't know if I can think of a single female athlete that I've ever said, "Hey, you're not flexible enough. You need to start stretching all the time." Yeah, it's it's possible that it exists, but I can't think of an example off the top of my head. And so, yeah, like I'll mention flexibility as it's like a box we want to check off, but it's not going to be like you said, a needle mover where we need to keep doing this as far as possible over time because it's going to help us get more athletic. I don't think that's really a valid thing. So, yeah, I think that was what, like 7 categories, 6.5, I guess.
And train those pretty much year round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, generally speaking, trying to do those things consistently, get better at them over time. I think at high levels, um, there might be some periodization aspect of we're going to focus more on strength now, we're going to focus more on speed later, or we're going to train a lot of volume. Let's say we're talking about a track athlete, like we're going to train a lot of volume of sprinting and running now, and then we're going to train lesser volume later so that we can be more fresh. There might be, yeah, I mean, okay, we're going to back off of plyometrics now because we're in season and we already have like lots of stress on the body, and so there's not room for a ton of this plyometric stress. There's things like that where you're sort of manipulating like how much of things you're doing. But yeah, generally speaking, big picture, it's like, yeah, let's just try to keep getting better at these things over time. And yeah, certainly the young athletes, for the most part, don't need to be thinking about different phases of this and different phases of that. I mean, you might have in season and off season, but that's pretty much just going to look like training more versus training less.
Yeah.
It's typically not going to be like, oh yeah, let's spend 3 months away from the weight room, and then let's like all then we'll spend 3 months off the track later. It's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
probably don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, that sounds easy enough, and I think it really simplifies things, and people don't need to be thinking about fascia and the slings while they're doing all this stuff. So thank
Don't,
you for really
don't
breaking that down. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you might be training fascia a little bit, and the slings could play some role in your movement, but you know what? It's gonna happen while you're sprinting,
That's what I was just
or
gonna ask.
or
Like,
while you're jumping, or while you're
yeah,
throwing a ball. Like,
yeah,
so yeah, it's again, people might be talking about, oh, we need this full body movements, we need this connection between the lower and upper body, and therefore we need to do this cable slash kettlebell combo shuffle rotate deal. And it's like, or you could just run.
or do a bear crawl, or I don't
Yeah.
know, like
Or you could jump, or you could like pick
jump.
up
Yeah,
ground, and now I'm working my back line, right, my functional back
right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
um so yeah, anyway.
Well, this has been awesome, and I definitely recommend everyone follows Daniel on social media. I'll leave his links in the caption below, and I love your content, Daniel. And after we last spoke, I started to implement some of your jumping competitions within our sessions instead of just doing like, okay, do a vertical or let's get on the jump mat. We will
Yeah,
do just jumping competitions to touch a tree branch or a pole, and I get way more out of them and they're more motivated and excited to do jump training. So that's been really huge and something I've definitely learned from you.
Yeah, making it fun is great.